Hi guys, my name is Kai. I used to be very active in the MMD Roblox scene a couple years ago, and I'm not active anymore. I'm not on that side of the internet any longer, but I do play a lot of The Sims, and I wanted to try experimenting with adding a sim into MMD. The only thing I came across was a lot of tutorials that specifically mentioned this kind of niche topic were from almost 5 years ago, some even longer. So when I tried revisiting this, I actually thought of an extremely easier and less time consuming way to do this, and I thought I would show you guys. So here we are. The specific plugins you are going to be needing are going to be The Sims 4, The Sims 4 Ripper, Blender 4.5, Miki Miki Dance, PMX Editor, and the Cat's MMD Blender add-on. These are going to be all crucial for converting your sim to MMD, and I will be using all of these programs and add-ons in today's tutorial. The links will be in the description if you don't already have them as well. A portion in today's video I won't be discussing is editing textures, editing models, stuff like that. I won't be going over that in this tutorial, but if you are interested in that and I can make another tutorial for that, these are the programs that you're going to be needing if you are interested in like retexturing or editing any sort of the CC that you will be exporting today in this tutorial. So let me know in the comments if you are interested in a video like that, but I will not be discussing that at all in this video. So if you are interested, these are the things you would need. You want to start by opening The Sims. In my case, I'm going to open The Sims. I'm going to create a new game, and I'm going to load in a sim that I've already made. After I've loaded that sim here, I just decided to change her outfit a little bit to something that I necessarily like wanted to export. It would be a little bit easier for this to understand in this tutorial to export. So what we're gonna do here is that if you have seasons or any other residential worlds, it doesn't matter, just choose anything random. Here I'm gonna put this sim into a random plot, and I'm gonna go in, let her hold on for a second, and I'm gonna save the game. And I'm gonna exit and save the game. After your game closes, you're gonna want to open The Sims 4 Ripper. Before that though, you do want to make a new folder and name it the name of your sim. And in that folder, you want to make a subfolder called textures, and this is where we're going to put the textures for that the Ripper gives us for our sim. You want to go back to the Sims 4 Ripper, and you want to click on select, and a drop down is going to pop up, and these are all your saves. If you have a lot of saves, it's going to be a little confusing, but if you click on date modified, it's going to push your latest save down to the bottom, and that's the save with where your sim is. So click that, and it'll load your save. A little disclaimer is that you are going to need the latest version of The Sims 4 Ripper, mainly because older versions will not work with the latest version of the game, and it'll cause an error to pop up and it will not let you export your sim. So you need the latest version, and the link is going to be in the description for the GitHub. Once it loads, you can look for your sim in the dropdown, and it's going to take a little bit for it to load if you have a slow computer. Um, And once it's loaded, we're going to go ahead and click on OBJ at the top right. And we're just going to save that. It's going to save as our name. We're going to put it in our folder. Just click save. So pretty much we're done with the Sims 4 Ripper at this point. And the next thing you want to do is you want to open Blender 4.5. Once you open Blender, just delete all the cameras and lighting in that box in the beginning and go to import OBJ, and you're going to import that sim we just exported out of the Sims 4 Ripper. So here we are. This is the sim. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to import a MMD sim that's already pre-rigged just to make sure our sim fits. And here you can do S to kind of shape it, to scale it up and down. And then once we're done with shaping it, we're going to delete that. and this is our sim. So next thing you can do is you can go into the materials, and this is why you need the MMD Cats plugin, because we're going to add the texture for our sim, which is going to be your sim name underscore diffuse. And you can go over and turn the textures on, and you see this is our sim. To make my life easier, what I tend to do is I click L on the vertices to separate the parts of the sim. So in this case, I'm separating the body because I want full control over what gets rigged later. And when it comes to fixing, because this is the main part, we're going to be fixing a lot of weighing. This just makes my life a little bit easier. If it's your first time doing this sort of thing with Blender and you don't know what you're doing, you can click L to select groups of vertices. You don't have to do this, but I do it because it does make my job a little bit easier when we move over to PMX editor. When I'm done separating those pieces, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and rename them to the specified parts that they are, so like hair, body, clothes. And I'm going to go through and I'm going to redo their materials. Otherwise, when you export them to PMX, the PMX is not going to know that they're separated like they are in Blender, so it's just going to merge the mesh into one. What we're going to do now is that we're going to click A on your keyboard, and we're going to click Create Model in the MMD Add-ons menu. You're going to click OK, and you're going to click A again, and you're going to click Attach Meshes. Once the meshes are attached, basically, the meshes, it's one PMX model now essentially. You're going to click it, and you can click Export, and you can just save it in that same folder and name it whatever you want. The next thing you want to do is you want to take that mesh, just check it. In my case, I did not fix the materials in the same way, and I don't want you guys to make that same mistake, so I'm keeping this in the video and you can watch what I do here. If you don't care for this, just skip to the timestamp on screen and it'll just skip this part, but I'm fixing this because I messed up and I want you guys not to do the same thing that I did. And then you want to open the MMD Sims 4 model that I mentioned earlier in PMX editor, because what we're going to do here is that since this model is already rigged and we'll be using the same amateur that this model has on our model, what we're going to do is we're going to select all of the vertices. And then you want to go to edit, plugins, user, and it's like weight copy or something like that. And you want to do save weight. And you can just save this as, like, for me, I named it my Sims name and it's weight at the end, but you can name it whatever you want. After you finish that, you want to import the MMD model from earlier, and you want to delete all of the materials that imported with it, but you want to keep the rigid bodies, the bones, and everything else. So once you have that, what you can do is you are going to select all the vertices again. You're going to edit, plugin, user, weight copy, but you're going to do load weight. And you're going to go to the weight that you saved earlier and you're going to load that. And just to test it, we can go to the T, this is test, and we can see that our sim moves. Yay! But the problem is with this, since our sim is a little bit different from the original sim, there's going to be a bit of issues with the weighing. So what we're going to do here is, just because I don't want the hair to move with the neck, I'm going to rig it to the head bone, which is bone number 8, I believe, in this. And you're just going to rig it to the head bone. This is a personal preference of mine. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but I just prefer this because I think it looks a bit cleaner than it clipping with the neck. It's fixed. The next thing I'm going to do is I want to fix the fingers because the fingers are going to clip a little bit and have some issues because the bones aren't, the vertices and the bones aren't necessarily centered on this rig. So I'm going to go through and here I'm going to speed this up, but I basically just went through, I separated the leg and torso from my hands so I had more of a clean area to work with. But after that, I just went through and fixed the weighing on the fingers, which will be shown now. Once you're done with that, in my case, I went and tested a motion in the testing option. It took me a hot minute to figure this out because I haven't used PMX in like 2 or 3 years, but eventually I did get it and figure it out. And as you can see, she moves, she dances. We're not gonna talk about the facials because that's a whole nother video that's a whole can of worms I'm not ready to open right now. But as you can see, it works. She moves. She is converted from Sims 4 to MMD. And now, since I know that this worked well, what we can go ahead and do is save it. Save it as a new PMX file with the rigging, um, and load it into MMD. So yeah, that's basically the easiest way possible right now to import Sims 4 to MMD. I'm gonna address a common problems I'd say with this method is that, oh, the weighing doesn't look right. That's something that can be fixed with the fact that the Sims 4 models are very low poly. You can honestly just subdivide them in Blender, which is, if you don't know how to do that, I recommend looking up a tutorial. It's very easy, but you can subdivide the model in Blender and give it more vertices for the weighing to work with, or you can just cope. What I did, I coped. I don't know any other problems. Oh, the facials. Facials are an entirely different can of worms that I'm not opening in this video because that's a very long process to do when it comes to making facials for MMD models. I'm not discussing that in this video. If you guys want, I can make a video how to make facials for Sims characters in MMD and PMX, but that's something I'm not doing today. And then editing textures is another thing I'm not discussing because that's not really hard to do per se, but it is a little bit time consuming and it's a completely different process than just doing this in Blender. But yeah, that's it. That's the most you've got to do to have this out work. Um, have this work out. It's a lot easier, I'd say, than going through the Blender process of doing this, which is extremely old and outdated. Blender 2.7 is at least almost 10 years old now. I don't use it. Nobody uses it anymore. I prefer 4, 3 and above, Blender 3 and 3.0 and above, just because the interface is so much easier to work with. But yeah, that's all you have to do. And if you have any questions, feel free to comment them below. I don't use social media that much, but I will see if I can get a hold of them or ask them, or if you want my Discord and you need to answer questions, I will leave my Discord username in the description. Thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and have a good day.